All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Film Facts Stats. We are a notch above your group chat. I'm Jack Coyle, and I am here with my co-hosts Freddie and Yehuda. We are going to be breaking down last week's football weekend, and then we're going to be going into next week as well. We've got a couple of differing opinions on what we saw on week one. So Freddie and Yehuda are going to get into that for the NFL later on, and I'm going to go ahead and kick us off with what we saw in college this weekend. Now, it was a sad, dark, dreary weekend for a lot of fans. And by that, I mean me specifically. For those of you who don't know, which I've been pretty clear about this, I'm a huge Notre Dame homer. I've been a Notre Dame fan since I was old enough to register football on a screen. My father was a Notre Dame fan. His father was a Notre Dame fan. If you are at Notre Dame Stadium and you throw a rock, you're going to hit a coil. The fandom runs deep, okay? That was the worst game I have ever seen Notre Dame lose. That includes Marshall. That includes Clemson. That includes the Alabama National Championship when they got beat by 40. That was the worst game I have ever seen Notre Dame lose. And it immediately comes off a career high for Marcus Freeman. Goes down to College Station, has the best win of his career against Texas A&M, immediately loses the worst game of his career. Went from the highest of the highs to the lowest of the lows. And so I'm not saying we need to fire Freeman right now, but he needs to be on the hot seat. That is not going to be a comfortable place for him, and it can't be. This is becoming a pattern, which is the biggest issue for the Notre Dame squad. They win a couple of big ones. They drop a couple of stinkers. We've seen it every year since Freeman has started 3 years ago. And there was a couple of glaring issues with this game in particular. So the usual Notre Dame arrogance. It got leaked that they did walkthroughs Thursday, Friday. That is ridiculous. You cannot prepare for a game that way when you know that you've got. I mean, any team in the FBS can beat you. Like any given Saturday, we know this. Everyone knows this, right? You've got to prepare every single week, and the fact that they didn't is ridiculous, absurd. Shows a level of hubris that you deserve to get beat if that's how you're going to play. They were out-coached. They were overpowered by the line. Terrible play calling. The quarterback play was abysmal. Riley Leonard has not thrown a ball longer than 20 yards. And shouts out to Brian Driscoll from Irish Breakdown, who had a really interesting comment on this, that Notre Dame goes out and they're getting these players from the transfer portal and they're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. You're taking a street baller in Riley Leonard and you're trying to fit him into a pro style offense. It's not going to work. You either let the kid play to his strengths or you bring up a game manager, a kid that's going to actually play to your strengths like Angeli, like CJ Carr, and actually run the way that Notre Dame has ran their offense for decades. So I think there's a ton of cultural problems that we have at Notre Dame right now. The coaching needs a ton of improvements. Believing their own hype, the arrogance is ridiculous. Until they lower the admission requirements so that we can actually get some of these transfer portal players that aren't just the kids with 3.8 GPAs, we're never going to be able to compete. So, I think it's time that the Notre Dame as a unit actually sits down and asks themselves what they want to do. Do you want to be a football powerhouse? Do you want the opportunity to actually compete for a national championship? Then you need to lower those admission requirements, lean into what you're doing, get a game manager at quarterback, pound the rock, have a national championship winning defense. We saw Michigan do it last year. You can win championships with a game manager at quarterback and an incredible defense. That's what Notre Dame should have leaned into. Instead, we have this hodgepodge, strange offense where they're trying to make players do things that they can't do, and then we're not going back to our strengths. They ran the ball, 6 times against Northern Illinois? That's ridiculous. Your 2 best players are your running backs. So in my mind, Notre Dame either needs to get serious about trying to win a national championship, lower those admission requirements, get in some damn good players and actually play to their strengths, or become a lacrosse school. Give it up. If this is what we're going to do, then if this is how you're going to play on Saturdays after a big win, if we're going to have letdowns year after year, then just give it up. Just become a lacrosse school, because I can't take another year of disappointment. It's been 27 years. I can't do it again. All right. That's all I had to say about Notre Dame. Oh, and by the way, sorry, they're officially out of the playoff contention. If they win out, even if they win by 40 against every single opponent, I do not think they should be considered for the playoffs because of the way their strength of schedule compared to any other SEC team is nothing. A 9-3 SEC team is better than an 11-1 Notre Dame team based on this schedule. And I fully believe that. I do not think that they should qualify for the playoffs, even if they win out the rest of their schedule. All right. That's all I had to say about the Irish. Do you guys have anything you wanted to say?
Yeah, that's very harsh. That's 12 teams. I know they have like a cupcake for the rest of the season, but like it's only one loss. Like, it's really that bad?
It's that bad. It's that bad. No Power 5, no AP top 5 team has ever in the history of the sport lost to a MAC school. Notre Dame just did. It is that bad. The rest of their schedule, strongest teams they play is USC at USC. They're going to drop that. I have no doubt in my mind the way that USC is playing right now. They're going to lose that game. Even if they do pull it off, frankly, it'll be kind of a fluke. No matter what, unless they completely transform that offense, unless they get rid of Riley Leonard, they put Angeli in there to start managing the game, run the rock, and actually have, rely on your championship defense. Maybe you could make the argument that they could be, one of those last spots, but what they were really gunning for was that 5 spot, and they had a clear path to it this entire year. The old AD of Notre Dame helped build the playoff model which heavily favored Notre Dame. So it was a very clear path to that 5 spot where you get a home game in the playoffs. They blew it. All they had to do was win this easy cupcake schedule. They couldn't do it. So now we've got our toughest games against Georgia State, USC, Florida State, who's terrible now, not Georgia State, Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech, who just lost to Syracuse. So there's no path where you can make the argument for Notre Dame to be a playoff team, in my opinion.
But Northern Illinois is ranked now. Just lost to a top 25 team, so not that bad of a loss.
I think NIU will win the MAC. I would be surprised if they didn't. And I should say that NIU is a good squad, good coached squad, talented players. They really came to play and they really outplayed them. So I don't want to take anything away from NIU, but you are Notre Dame. You are a blue blood. You should never lose to a MAC school, period, ever. Anyway, that's enough about Notre Dame.
Freddie, I don't know if you saw them recruiting on Twitter. NIU was tweeting out, we're still looking for a 2025 class.
There you go.
We're looking for punters, kickers, and a couple depth spots. So I thought that was very funny.
By the way, I have spent a ton of time at NIU. I had a bunch of friends who went to NIU in DeKalb. It's like 15 minutes from where I grew up. It's a shithole. I hate DeKalb. Not just because they beat us. It's a disgusting place. So I would recommend don't go to NIU, guys. But still, I think they've got a pretty good program. But no, like there's like shootings and armed robberies every other day.
Just sounded
anyway.
Like generational hating at first.
Yeah. Oh no, it's not just generational hating. We have friends that were like mugged there. Anyway, let's get off the topic. Let's talk about the rest of the college football world. Okay, let's talk about some positive things, some things that we enjoyed watching this weekend, right? So in my mind, we had a couple of other great games this weekend. Iowa State upset Iowa, a really close, hard-fought game. Penn State struggled with Bowling Green. That was a fun game. Texas really put a hurting on Michigan. It really wasn't as close of a game, even as the final score showed. It was 31-12, but really it was even that was closer than the actual performance showed. Oklahoma struggled with Houston. Oregon barely survived Boise State. Not impressed with Oregon so far. But here's what I want to say, guys. Of what we have seen in college football, this kind of happens every year. It's pretty clear that there's an emerging tier of those elite programs. There's about 4 to 6 teams that are just playing on a different level from the rest of the pack. So those teams for me, Georgia, Texas, Ohio State, I'd put Ole Miss up there, Alabama. I think you could make the argument for Missouri and Tennessee. but those teams are playing at just a different caliber, because from there we get the drop off. Right after those teams, we go to Penn State, Oregon, Oklahoma State, teams that have been struggling.
Utah.
And
Love for Utah.
Utah's good.
Come on.
Utah's good. I think Utah is another one that's kind of in like that mid tier between Penn State, Oregon, Utah. And by mid, I mean incredibly talented, very good football program, but it's pretty clear that we're seeing tiers separate here, right? I don't see if there's anyone right now that can beat Georgia, maybe Texas or Ohio State, but when you watch Georgia play, they're just a completely different squad. They're firing on all cylinders. They have more 5-stars out there actively playing a game than most teams have gotten in the last 5 years. So it's just a different caliber of player that we're seeing on Georgia. So as of now, this is a way too early peek into it, but I'm just saying I don't see any teams beating those 4. I mean, obviously when they play each other, someone's got to win, but I don't see anyone stopping Ohio State, Texas, Georgia, Ole Miss, Bama. We're going to have a great college football playoff. And some of those later SEC games between, Georgia, Ole Miss, Alabama, they're going to have some all-time games this year. But I just wanted to make that clear delineation. We're seeing an elite group, we're seeing a very good group, and then everybody else. So it's going to be a really, really interesting college football playoff. I think that those top teams are going to beat up badly on the teams that they play in the playoffs. I think the first round are going to be pretty boring. I don't think we're going to see any upsets. But so that is just my way too early college football tier breakdown. I've got a couple of bets for you as well, but we'll get into that later in the program. For now, I'm going to kick it over to Freddie and Yehuda to start breaking down what we saw in the NFL in week 1.
So Jack first started with football he did not like, and then talked about some football that he appreciated. And I got to say, week 1, there's some football I liked, but there's also some football that it wasn't great. It was like, admittedly, looked a little rusty. We had the lowest average passing yards in week 1 since 2007. So we're struggling to pass the ball. The rookies all came out kind of struggling. Jaden Daniels had like good stats, but it was mostly garbage time and him getting rushing yards and some rushing touchdowns when they're already losing by like 3 touchdowns to the Bucks. But I think week 1, these teams look at it with a 17-game schedule now. It's like an extension of the preseason. None of these players even play in the preseason, which I think is a genuine contributor to why they look kind of rusty and sometimes look kind of bad. The wins and losses count right now. So, it's not like you can get by playing poorly. So they know that it does matter in the long run, but ultimately 1 or 2 games in the NFL, I think that they are kind of conceding because they think that the longer schedule and more game time, more teams in the playoff, 7 teams now instead of 6 like in years past. We've only had 7 teams the past couple of years. So I think that contributes to why these teams, they kind of come out pretty rusty, and it's not the best football. But, you got to give them a couple weeks, let them settle in. It's just September football. We know November, December football matters the most. And right now they're just a little rusty. But we'll see what Freddie has to say about that. He's warming up.
All right. So I may have some trouble with articulation here because of how upset I am watching the sport decline. And this actually ties into college a little bit, but we'll get into that at the end. I don't see it as rust. I see the game deteriorating. If you looked at Thursday Night Football, Lamar looked like trash. Now, sure, his offensive line was trash, but Lamar missed not only 2 throws before the Isaiah Likely toe out of bounds, right? Not only the 2 throws directly before that could have been touchdowns, but his deep balls, some of his reads, like the deep balls weren't even there. His deep balls, some of them were underthrown. And yes, there were offensive line problems. Now let's go to Friday Night Football. Friday Night Football, you had Jordan Love and Jalen Hurts both, I don't know, I can't read Tampa 2, bro. I'm just going to watch Devonta Smith the whole time. Oh, no, I don't care if Romeo Doubs is wide open on the back line of the end zone heading towards the back power line. I'm going to hit Jaden Reed, but I get lucky because someone just grabs Jaden Reed, and so I get the penalty, and no one even notices that I missed a wide open Romeo Doubs with no one there. It's just total trash. And you look at these vets coming in, and they can't read defenses, and these are problems that we've seen heading into last year. Jordan Love got better at the end of last year. Jalen Hurts probably got a little worse at the end of last year, but he had a bad year last year in general. And you look at these things, and it's like these are the vets that are getting paid more money than anyone else in the NFL, depending on when you get paid. If you're a franchise quarterback, you get paid like you're the best in the league. And now it's extending to receivers too, with Jamar Chase wanting one more penny than Justin Jefferson. Jamar Chase didn't do anything. Christian Gonzalez, sure, he's a good corner, but I guess, I don't know, the whole Bengals offense was too busy watching Joe Burrow dye his hair in the offseason to actually go out and practice and put together a good anything. They look like trash. We're seeing so much trash right now in the NFL and so much ego. And it's not even scheme anymore. It's, can my athlete beat your athlete? I don't care about these schemes or anything. I saw so much Tampa 2 and cover 3 called on defense that weren't even disguised. It was just straight dropping into these defenses, and quarterbacks couldn't take advantage of it. Receivers, offensive coordinators couldn't take advantage of it. It was absolutely terrible. Now, not all teams. Some teams did a good job with it. And I think this extends to college because now we're also seeing the transfer portal and NIL, and you're not going to be able to even coach these college players up to the level that they're currently getting coached up to when they come into the NFL. And you're seeing these guys, well, I don't know, is Jamar Chase going to stay with the Bengals because he wants one more penny than Justin Jefferson? And he honestly shouldn't get it. Justin Jefferson's a much better receiver. Not to say Jamar Chase is bad. He's a very good player as well. But now, is he going to go? And are you going to have to sort of start over with your offense? And are you going to see that turnover more in the NFL? And so are you going to be able to even incorporate anything complex anymore in football? And so I do not like a lot of what I saw in week 1. Some teams look good, but I think we're seeing the decline of the sport. As Tom Brady said before he entered the booth, we're seeing a lot of mediocrity nowadays. I think that was very clear. I don't think it's rust. I think it's bust. I think, they're just with the generation of players that are coming into the NFL, I don't even have words for it. It's sad. It's kind of over. I don't know.
There are still the Kyle Shanahans, the Ben Johnsons, these incredible offensive schemers. You could say maybe this is defense getting better, and obviously, if they're not disguising anything, and it's just playing regular, they're playing cover 3 straight up Tampa 2, and they just can't read it. That is a big issue, and I think we underestimate how hard it is to play quarterback. I understand if you have issues with wide receivers, and like you said, Jamar Chase wanted me pay a penny more and all the scheme issues, that stuff, and go win. That was a big issue with the Eagles last year, was they weren't running any motion, any scheme. It was just go in, and that's not good. Sometimes it can be good football, but it's not like the most effective. You want to be more effective by using motion, using all the stuff that you can do and scheme up. But to be a quarterback and be a good quarterback is just so difficult. Like we saw lots of terrible quarterback play of guys. I don't think Daniel Jones ever expected to be good, and that's just sad now. At this point, the Vikings player is starting to feel bad for him. I don't know if you saw that. That was bad. But Deshaun Watson used to be good. He definitely had he had some shoulder injuries, and he had a lot of off the field stuff, but he forgot how to play. But I think it takes a while to develop these guys, and we expect them to be good right now. And I think it's just a week 1 overreaction. It's 1 week.
Hold on. Notice I didn't mention the name of a single rookie quarterback. I'm talking about guys who have years in the NFL.
That's true.
I'm talking about those guys who played terrible. The rookies, I'm not against any of them. Jaden Daniels didn't look that great, but they should have put up 26 points against the Bucs defense, which has some holes, but they still have some good players there. Caleb Williams, the Titans have a very good defense. I didn't talk about him and how only 150 yards ish. I didn't. Bo Nix, some good things, some bad. These are veterans who are coming in week 1 and looking like rookie quarterbacks. They're looking really bad, and not just rookie quarterbacks, but rookie quarterbacks with some serious arm issues, some serious issues reading the field. Honestly, like that might be an overreaction because I'm mad, but it's possible that you can make an argument. Some of the rookie quarterbacks look better than a lot of the vet quarterbacks who are getting paid $50 million a year.
No, they were not.
I think you could, if you look at the film, you could possibly make that argument. I'm not saying that you could. I understand that I'm very animated right now, and it could be coming from that, but it's possible.
The one thing I gotta say, like Love and Hurts, I watched the first quarter, first half. It looked really rough. But one thing I could maybe excuse is that they're in a new country and it's a whole new schedule, and maybe these athletes are very scheduled people, and it's just you're in a whole new environment, and I don't know. They weren't allowed to go outside the hotel because there were dangers of being mugged and stuff, like gangs and stuff. Like I don't know, maybe that affected something. I don't know. But
I call bullshit on that.
And they're slipping everywhere. You see that? Like they literally brought them to a soccer field, and it was awful footing. And I'm like, how does this make sense? Aren't you guys?
So at first, they were slipping everywhere. Okay, that happens in other games too.
Yeah,
I'm not buying that whole Brazil story. When you're an elite athlete and you have people who will take care of everything for you in terms of making sure you're ready to go on game day, I don't accept. I was in Brazil. I don't accept that. I don't care. Even if that's not on you, that's on the Eagles or the Packers are both providing a really bad support team. Even if it's not on the players, I don't buy that as an organization. That's unacceptable.
I'll be the one that asks, what the fuck is the NFL doing in Brazil in the first place? I get it that they want more markets, but come on, guys, what are we doing? Like
money.
It's the same thing with FSU and Georgia Tech going over to Ireland to play a game. It makes sense when Notre Dame does it. At least there's a tie there, but like Florida State.
Yeah, it was very random.
Yeah, it's just a money grab. It's a weird thing. I did want to respond quickly and to Freddie, you've got a lot of good points. Yehuda, I like what you're saying too. I'm not sure where I fall on this side of the argument. I will say, and not to be an alarmist here, but I will say that I think that this problem will get worse coming from the college side of things because, Freddie, like you mentioned, players aren't getting developed anymore. You're playing 2 years at a school, you're transferring to another school where you're going to get a couple more snaps, or you're getting more money, or you like the offense is going to let you air it out more, whatever it may be. You're not staying at a school with the same coach who's going to develop you over time. And we've seen, obviously, in the NFL how beneficial that is when you even take a guy and you have time to develop them. The Packers have done it for 20 years, right? Like, we've seen how beneficial it is to actually stay in the same program and develop and to get time. Notre Dame, again, you're going back to them. They're making the big issue of they're bringing on talented guys. They're recruiting talented guys. And then they're bringing in a transfer portal quarterback every year as a senior. So those guys aren't getting the valuable playing time that they need. And it's happening across the entire league in the NCAA. So a lot of these guys that are getting recruited out of high school just aren't getting the reps that they need to develop because a senior guy is coming in and he's taking their spot. And I'm talking primarily about the quarterback position, but it's happening all over the league at every position. So I would agree that I think in the next 3 to 5 years, the overall quality of the sport and the product that we're seeing on the field is going to go down simply because the kids that are developing are getting less reps. They're getting less practice. They're not developing under a single scheme. So I think that this could be a big problem, and it's going to continue to be a big problem until we regulate NIL and the transfer portal. And we figure out how to do this in a way that it's not the wild fucking West. And, so until we get that under control, there's going to keep being these kind of runoff issues, these byproduct issues. And one of them is going to be the overall product of the NFL is going to decline.
And it kills me. It's gonna lead to a lot more rants because as much as I try and get rid of it because of how much time it takes in my life, I love football. I can't not love football. So it's just going to drive me nuts. It's going to drive me crazy.
FCS, man. FCS football is what we got to get into. I'm telling you.
I watch college football. I cannot agree. I mean, I know you're joking, but like
Only a little bit. I kind of want to get really into FCS football. It's just hard to watch. If there was a way that I could watch it like every weekend,
you're
I
saying
would be
like,
an FCS head.
hard to get access, or it's hard to watch because it's not good football.
No, hard to get access. Well, it depends on the team, but
Yeah.
hard to get
You want to
access.
talk about what not watching good football? Like you can see, I watched the Utah State Robert Morris game week 1, right, with that crazy interception. I don't know if you saw that.
That was awesome.
That was sick. And then if you heard the guy, the reason why he did that, because honestly, like in the video, he probably could have gone up with 2 hands, like whatever would have been tough catch, but his hand was broken. The one, I think his right hand, he went up with his left hand or he went up with his right, and the other hand was broken. He went up with the non-broken hand, and then he caught it, and then he had to do a spin so that he wouldn't land on his hand. So that's why he did that.
Unreal.
It was pretty sick.
That was an unreal play.
Yeah, so you see them, they win by 20 over Robert Morris. Like eventually they handle them, and then you see them play USC, Utah State, and then they get destroyed.
Right.
So you see, like you're talking about tiers of college football and like levels of talent, and maybe like Freddie said, they're really trying to really over relying on that talent versus the scheme, and I think that is possible, and I think that is getting away from the understanding that it's not an individual game. And
right.
It really is the ultimate team sport, but we are trying to force these things and go win, like I said, the receivers, instead of trying to get them schemed open looks, which I think is still happening. Maybe you say it's rare, but like I said, the Lions and the Niners, 2 of the best offenses in the league, they are still scheming people open and getting Jawan Jennings and random second, third string tight ends targets because they go for the scheme, and you work with the team.
Right.
So maybe, hopefully, we need more emphasis, but I don't think with an individualistic emphasis in society and get your bag money society, I really don't think we're ever going to come back from that Wild West that you were talking about, and I don't think that is necessarily going to change. But I can hope that maybe people will see that team ball is actually more effective and a more useful strategy in football. So I can only hope. And I think it's just week 1. It's an overreaction.
I'm still a firm. Totally.
Yeah.
I get that. Go ahead, Freddie.
Look,
you had something to say.
Yeah, I have a lot of things to say, usually. But no, I usually only have 1 or 2 things. But, I mean, look, the individualistic thing, getting the money, I think that's like a fallacy because, I mean, there's also like half of society wants to go like more towards the communist, but that's not really how it works, because if you understand the sport, understand it's a team sport, the best thing for me to do is to win a Super Bowl, because then I'm going to get endorsements. I'm going to be a bigger part of the community, and people are going to care about me more. My uniform is going to get bought more, all that stuff, right? Additionally, instead of buying a Ferrari with that extra $1 million or $500,000 in your contract, hire a Jewish, as a Jew, I can say this, I can hook you up. Hire a Jewish money manager, take $5 million less, go win the Super Bowl. You'll end up with a lot more money at the end of the day by the time you retire.
Freddie,
maybe a little racist, but I'm Jewish, I can say that. So
I think you are vastly overestimating the average financial smart of the average athlete.
100. No,
absolutely, that's what you should do. I don't think that. I mean, there's bro, totally. What you're saying is what the smart, well-educated, financially savvy person would do. These are not the people that are getting drafted and getting $20 million signing bonuses,
that's why I'm giving them the advice, because they don't know it. So I'm here to share that. Or talk to some of the smart players who understand that and have actually done that. Because there have been a few of those around.
Oh, no, totally. No, I don't want to paint the whole broad spectrum of a brush. But, I mean, like you said, the move to, I want one more penny. Yeah. That's ego. That's nonsense. That's ridiculous shit. And
it's also unearned.
Right. Well, and also, like you said, again, kind of big picture things. Okay, so you want one more penny so that you can say that you are paid higher than JJ. Now you're also sending the message to every GM in the league that you're a diva, right? So that's going to cost you a lot more in lifetime earnings because of this move than if you would have just, not pulled this whole charade, right? So again, and frankly, I know this is maybe a little bit of a cop-out, but a lot of these guys get crazy CTE and are living with crazy brain injuries constantly, right? So they're not firing on all cylinders, so to speak. I think a lot of these
mind and body.
yeah, I think that a lot of these guys are not making the best decisions all the time because they get hit in the head for a living. So that's a part of it too. But anyway, we got a little bit off topic.
Just I'll decide real quick with the 1 penny thing. I did see a reporter ask him about if he wanted more than 1 penny, and he said, I want way more than 1 penny more than him. And I mean, obviously he's half joking, not joking. He wants to get paid the most, but Justin Jefferson was a friend and a teammate in LSU, so maybe it's healthy or friendly competition, but it also is, you want to be paid the most. But I think it's also he's saying that because he's bros with him, and I think like
maybe
they're
could be it.
And they're buddies.
Yeah, I mean that's nice and all, but at the end of the day, if we can be buddies, we've played football together. If you beat me on the football field, you beat me on. I'm not going to be like, I'm still better than you. No, if you beat me on the football field, I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna get you next time. Cool. Jamar Chase didn't go out and ball. Yeah. It's not like he came out. Justin Jefferson, career-wise, has been better than Jamar Chase. It's not even. It's not a question. Even though Jamar Chase is a very good player. So I mean, maybe a little bit like.
Unfortunately that's how the market works. I mean, they just keep. Patrick Surtain gets the highest paid, and then an hour later, Jalen Ramsey gets a little bit more. He gets 0.1 million more because he needs to be the next highest guy, and it's just like
ego.
And that's not how it should work.
Yeah, I know, but
an organization with the right culture wouldn't be doing that.
We also sometimes we forget, guys, these are entertainers. Like, yes, they're athletes, absolutely, but they're also in the entertainment business. So we're essentially dealing with divas a lot of the time. Like, it makes sense a little bit.
The O-linemen.
Not the O-linemen, not the hogs down in the trenches.
Yeah.
Those are the good old boys. But no, yeah, it's and again, this is an even larger conversation. But I think we're going to continue to see diva behavior like this. The more money that these players are getting paid, the more attention they're getting, and obviously this has been going on for 20 years, 50 years. NFL players have been stars, but now they're like, you can become a billionaire as a football player. Like, it's a different level of wealth and access and fame. So I think we're going to continue to see that as well. It's only going to get worse, so to speak. But anyway, guys, does anyone have anything else to say about week 1, or should we start moving into bets for week? Well, it'll be week 2 for you guys for the NFL, week 3 for college.
Yeah.
I mean, we could keep this conversation, keep going down the path of the decline of football and that. But yeah, let's move on. Let's move on to bets because I don't think anything good is going to come from us.
Well, if you have anything more to say, feel free to. But
the ether.
No,
it's okay.
The money issues, and then we go straight.
I yelled enough.
Eating into the money.
Yeah, exactly. Betting is
it's a big part.
Could be a cancer, but also I'm still gonna place my bets. So
it's fun, but everything in moderation. But we are not. The current culture of betting is not in moderation. But
do as we say, not as we do.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, do you want me to get into? So I'll start with the first bet that I really, really like this, and not even actually this weekend. It's gonna be on. It's gonna be. Is it tonight or Friday? Let me double check. But it's going to be Arizona versus K-State. So both really good teams. I think this is the best value we have though, because right now K-State. Is it tomorrow night? Okay, great. So it's going to be Friday. So right now, K-State is favored by 7.5. Now, I think that Arizona can cover that 7.5 because of that half-point hook. Arizona's got a really good offense. K-State has a really good squad as well. It's going to be a nice, high-scoring game. Should be fun to watch. But I think that Arizona is not going to get beat by more than a score. I think they get beat by either 3 or 7. They do not get beat by more than 7.5. I'm comfortable with Arizona covering that. So I'd say go ahead and hammer Arizona covering 7.5. That is my lock of the week passing on to you guys. I've got a couple other ones I could go back to, but let's hear your locks of the week first.
Yehuda, go ahead.
So we talk about a team that should have played more guys in the preseason, should have gotten a little confidence boost. The Carolina Panthers, who they could be relegated to Division I football from the NFL. That is, oh yeah, you want to talk? I mean, it's never going to happen, obviously, because of money. But relegation as a system could really force teams to try to, make sure they stay competitive and stuff. But obviously, it doesn't happen because NFL is essentially a cartel business model. But
also put a pin in this, but I just wanted to mention it because you brought up the Panthers. Bryce Young, biggest bust of all time because of the trade that happened. Let's talk about it later.
That potentially. I'm hoping it's just week 1 because he now has Dave Canales, who I think is kind of competent. But yeah, Bryce Young and the Panthers should have probably played a couple more snaps against backups. And then maybe you build some confidence because you actually succeed. But that was horrendous what they did versus the Saints. The game was over in the first quarter. Like it's a little embarrassing, a little sad how incompetent they are. And now we got a Chargers team that's coming in with a running identity and O-line. I think I saw something that their O-line wasn't that great in pass pro or run pro versus the Raiders, and maybe that'll happen with Max Crosby because he's a dog. But the Panthers have no one on the line, and now their best D tackle and run stuffer Derek Brown is out for the year, torn meniscus. And I know we're going west-east, and I think maybe that's the only thing contributing in the line because the Chargers are going west coast to east coast. But it's -6, I see. Chargers -6, okay, against a team that just lost by 30 to a Saints team that's mid at best. But now people think, oh, maybe the Saints are better than we you can't judge them. They played the Panthers. The Panthers are awful. And I think the one thing is west to east. Maybe that's the only issue that we have here. But the Chargers are well coached. I think Harbs is a good coach. I see their run game getting going with Dobbins. I hope he can stay healthy. I'm very happy for him.
Yep.
Doing well. And him and Gus, I think they'll score a bunch of touchdowns. The Panthers have no run stuffers, and it's only -6. So I'm very confused why it's only -6 and not like a 9.5 or a 7.5 or something. But I gotta hammer Chargers -6. That's easy. They're winning by a touchdown at least. What is that?
I like it. In fact, you stole my game, so screw you.
Hell yeah! I give you another one. I'll switch.
I have a couple backups as well because something that I'm really liking this week is a parlay of alternate unders. And I can go around that. I really like the Seahawks Patriots alternate under on 50, 49.5 even. You're not going to have too bad odds there. I would pair that with an alternate under in the Jets Titans game of 46.5. And I would pair that. You can even go 49.5 just for funsies, a little bit safer. And then I would put a third under, Steelers Broncos alternate on 49.5. You put all that together, you're probably going to be around 1-1, approaching that at least. So a nice way to kind of double your money. I really like. I know locks of the week is supposed to be one pick. I don't have enough data for me to be confident in any one team right now, but I really like that combination of alternate unders from different things I've seen from all those defenses and some of those failing offenses.
Can you explain the ultimate under a little bit versus just taking regular unders? What is that?
Yeah, so it's just the regular unders. The lines you get, obviously money lines are going to be minus or plus whatever, but those spreads and unders are going to be around, -110, something like -108, something like that. Alternate just means, I don't know about under 38, 38.5 for the Jets Titans or whatever it is at -110, but -49, under 49.5 might be like -720 or something like that. So worse odds, but you can pick what under you're choosing, as opposed to letting them pick it for you, and you have to go under or over.
Got it.
I think that Steelers Broncos game is an incredible ultimate undercall then, because that Steelers offense, the no touchdown offense. But I think it was very funny. I think at the end of the first half, at the end of the first quarter, they interviewed Mike Tomlin, or at least the sideline reporter said something like, we need to stop settling for field goals. That's not going to get it done. We need touchdowns. And then they settled for field goals every time, and it got it done because the freaking Falcons offense and Kirk go, that did not look good.
Yeah, I mean, it was just T.J. Watt. T.J. Watt, already locked up Defensive Player of the Year.
Oh my God!
Just a ridiculous game.
Yeah,
maybe the best defensive game we've ever seen from a player.
And he had like 2 sacks that didn't even count. Well, one he was offsides, so that didn't count. But he got a strip sack called away, strip sack fumble recovery. I think by himself, that was called back because like a different holding or something. And like this dude is scary. Like you talk about the Ravens a lot, as a Ravens fan. Like I know the Steelers are going to beat us no matter how good or bad they are. They're always just beat us, but now they are scary. And I want to talk because I remember saying before our preseason preview or our season preview, I said that the Steelers might not have a good defense, and I think the Falcons' offense wasn't very good, but I was a little overzealous. I think their defense is very well coached, and T.J. Watt is a freaking issue. He is a problem. And I don't have a problem. Like if we ever play the Steelers and T.J. Watt has to come off for a second, like I don't know, you need to take like a deep shot or something. Like just maximize your opportunities with T.J. Watt off the field because he is so scary. It's crazy.
And by the way, that's a good right tackle for the Falcons. Last year he had a good year. Jack, it looked like you had something.
I was going to say, speaking of great defensive players, how about we talk about that Max Crosby, Joe Alt matchup that we saw Joe Alt, man, proving already to be an incredible draft pick. Didn't give up a single pressure to Max Crosby. One of the best defensive. Well, go ahead.
No, sorry. Finish your thought.
No, I was just going to say, not giving up a single pressure in your first game is pretty impressive.
To be fair, I'm looking it up now, but how many times did they drop back?
No, it was like 11. He had 11 snaps, I think, against him.
It was like 17 to 19, I think, when he was like one-on-one matchups. I'm not positive. Check that out though. But either way,
he had one pressure.
Yeah. Oh, he did have a pressure. Never mind.
I saw something also that said no pressures.
I think it's no pressure, but whatever. I guess that's one of the ones that's kind of like.
Yeah, he won all his reps against Crosby and Christian Wilkins, and then maybe he allowed a pressure against somebody else. In 29 dropbacks, 1 pressure, but yeah, Alt was really good.
He's just solid, man, just solid.
You want to talk about rookies going up against elite guys in their first game? I think we brought in the Ravens, specifically Roger Rosengarten. Like he's our swing tackle, or like switching in with Makari. He was a rookie, either guard or tackle. First play, he goes up against Chris Jones. He gets absolutely flamed. Swipe move, destroyed on the first play. Like that's what I expect from a rookie. So awesome from Joe Alt.
Yeah. I did want to mention. Go ahead, Freddie.
Nah, you go ahead. Because I was just gonna shit on the Ravens for no reason.
You're just being a hater.
Generational hate.
No. I was just gonna say that's who has to block.
I know.
Block T.J. Watt. So
I know. Believe me, I know. I'm terrified.
I just wanted to sprinkle in a couple of fun little bets that you could make this weekend because I don't know if I'm actually going to take them, but it's just going to be fun to sweat. Tennessee against Kent State. Tennessee is favored by 49.5. I think that Tennessee will cover that. I'm not kidding. So if you guys want to sweat a 49.5 point spread, I say go ahead and throw it on Tennessee. But the way their offense is moving, I don't see them not covering that. I was listening to a podcast the other day. I saw that the Tennessee offense is so explosive. They actually have a lineman whose job it is to fake an injury if they score too quickly so that the defense gets to get a little bit of a rest. So that's how much Tennessee is firing lately. So go ahead and sweat that one. And then another one that I think is going to be a little bit less of a sweat, but that I'm actually really confident that they'll cover this is Ole Miss against Wake Forest, 22.5. I think Ole Miss easily can put up 22.5 to cover against Wake Forest. Yeah, I mean, we saw them put up 72 in their opener. I mean, obviously it was against an FCS school, but still, I don't see them not boat racing Wake Forest, so I think they cover that. So again, I don't know if I'm going to touch those. Those are pretty large spreads, but if you want to have some fun sweating a really big one, go for those two.
I also have a few fun bets, but Yehuda will give you another chance to steal them from me. So, all right, anything.
Very nice of you. Hopefully it is. I am stealing because I want to see if we really are mind melding right now. But yeah, my other one would just be take the Rams are +1. I know they have a bunch of injuries. They're missing Puka, and it's the Cardinals' home opener. The Rams still have yet to play a home game, but Sean McVay ultimately, utterly dominates the Rams. He is 13-2 since he's been hired versus the Rams. So, versus the Cardinals. Yeah, versus the Cardinals. Yeah. I hope they're not beating the Rams too often. But he is very good against the Cardinals. Marvin Harrison, he looked rough. I know he only had one catch. Some couple film stuff that I saw on him, he looked a little slow, and maybe just holding out and dealing with all that stuff. And maybe it's on his mind. I don't know what it was, but the Cardinals' offense or the defense is something to be taken advantage of. I know they're missing a lot of their line. The Rams are, but I think they should be getting their guard back. And they're missing Puka, of course, but Sean McVay and their offense, they can scheme up some good stuff. Cooper Kupp looks like Cooper Kupp again, like he's playing the Puka Nacua role. So I'll say that. So, the OG Cooper Kupp role. So Kyron Williams should be able to run on them. And the Rams are going to win. Like, the Rams are going to win this game, and they're +1. So take the Rams. Like, that's easy.
Okay.
I like it.
I'm gonna stay in that game.
Oh.
And this is a little bit of a couple of parlays that we're gonna put together here as fun bets. We could talk about individual games maybe too, but parlay in the Rams Cardinals game, same game parlay. I'm taking Kyler, James Conner, Kyron Williams, and Cooper Kupp to score touchdowns.
Oh my God.
A little 4-man touchdown scorer parlay. I like that a lot. I don't remember what the odds were. I think it may have been like 20-1, not even anything crazy, but I may have pulled that number out of my out of my garbage pail. But I do like that. I do like that game. I think it's probably going to be high scoring. But we'll see what happens there.
Honestly,
I like that parlay. What's up?
Fantasy gold mine of a game, honestly. Defenses aren't very good. I don't think the Rams defense is that good.
It's still early though.
Yeah, but
yeah,
they don't. They're so young. Like, maybe they're well coached, but I don't think they're that good.
If I was a betting man, and I am, then yeah. I would say it.
Putting up points.
There's a reason why 4 touchdown scores in the same game means you have a pretty specific idea about what's going to go down, especially with those linebackers. Another fun parlay I like. I mentioned the alternate unders. We're going to go. Oh man, there's so many, but I don't want to just be talking for 20 minutes. Okay, let's do a money line. Let's talk about that. So give me the Steelers over the Broncos, the Chiefs over the Bengals.
Yep.
Give me the this isn't even that fun, I guess. The Chargers over the Panthers, the Seahawks over the Patriots, and the Niners over the Vikings.
Dude, the Patriots are 1-0. That's Sam Darnold. Can he keep it up for 2 weeks in a row against a more competent defense? They played the Giants last week. So
what? You mean the Giants are incompetent?
I know.
But we saw them on Hard Knocks. They make decisions based off of numbers. Apparently, they don't even look at film. They're just like, I like these numbers. Yeah, let's hire the guy. That's crazy, though.
The one pick I would say I like all those. I genuinely am worried about Seahawks west to east to Patriots. Like, I like Mike McDonald, and I'm starting the Seahawks defense everywhere. I love their defense, and I love him as a coach. But they should win. But west to east, I think it's a real thing. It's a real thing. Like, the West Coast teams going to the East Coast, it can affect them, throw them off a little bit.
Maybe. I suppose. Suppose. You know what? We have time for some more. Do you get either of you have more bets?
How do we feel about Lions? Are Lions gonna beat Tampa Bay? Or Lions are gonna cover against Tampa Bay?
What's the 6.5?
7.5.
I don't know
Wait
because
a minute. Lions minus 7.5 or plus 7.5?
Minus
Minus.
7.5 at Detroit.
Hmm.
I like the money line. I don't think I'm gonna take the spread.
Yeah,
I
I think they can be by 7, so it gets me nervous.
I don't feel like I have enough information to accurately call anything in that game.
Okay, maybe I'm not
Obviously,
gonna.
Jameson Williams went off, but a lot of that was clear outs, which, as you mentioned, Ben Johnson has some good schemes out there. So Jameson Williams was the key component of that. I think specifically they wanted to scare some teams of Jameson Williams so that you can go back to Amon-Ra, Laporta, obviously those two running backs there in Detroit. But yeah, it's just a little early for me to look at.
No worries.
He's using this game as the first game as the Jameson Williams games to make people respect the deep ball, so that he can use all the underneath stuff.
There you go.
I wouldn't put it past him if he is thinking 2-3 steps ahead. One thing I will say is, take what's Malik Neighbors over receiving yards. Wandale Robinson
Neighbors a little bit this week.
The what?
I do like Malik Neighbors a little bit this week. What'd you say about Wandale?
Wandale is 45 plus yards. He's plus 140. I saw something about how Wandale operates mostly out of the slot, and he got a bunch of dump offs from Daniel Jones. And I know Daniel Jones, you never want to trust Daniel Jones-led offense, but the Commandos had the worst pass defense in the league last year. Bring in Dan Quinn, defensive guy, same shit, different year. They look like a terrible. I know they're playing a really good passing offense. I know they have a bunch of receivers on the Bucks, and this is a different offense than the Giants, but they just look like the same bad defense. And I would look at Wandale and Malik Neighbors overs for yardage, because especially Wandale, because I think I saw that Benjamin St. Juste is the slot corner for the Commanders, and he's one of the worst in the NFL. So, and Wandale plays mostly out of the slot, so target him. But we'll see. Can bad offense beat bad defense? It's the stoppable force versus the movable object. But I think the offense should get some run, and you should take those overs on Wandale and Neighbors.
I like that.
I have to say, I also kind of like those picks a little bit, as much as you can trust the Giants with the Commanders division and all that. But I do have to defend Dan Quinn a little bit. I'd say it's new year, different bad defense. Obviously there's a lot of young guys in that secondary, and at least he was trying to disguise things and try and confuse the offense. And these young guys just didn't know what was going on. So it was like sometimes they thought it was Tampa 2 when it was like a zone match into man and all that. So like he was trying to do these things that you would respect scheme wise, and the players just kind of didn't know what was going on a good deal. So
yeah, I see that.
Just have to defend Dan Quinn a little bit.
I appreciate that. I see that with the growing pains. I can speak to that specifically with the Ravens, because when they first started with Mike McDonald, they were atrocious, and it was a tough defensive scheme, but the Ravens defense was horrible, and we were giving up like 35 points to the Mac Jones Patriots. Like it was really bad. So I can understand that, and hopefully they turn it around, but it's still only week 2, and they're not figuring it out fully necessarily in 2 or 3 games. I guess maybe the team to figure it out against is the Giants, but I'm betting that they don't necessarily lock it down right now, but hopefully they get better, because that would be cool to see Washington to have a not 32nd ranked defense. So
would be nice.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Do we have any other bets for the people?
I always got more bets, but I know we're coming up on time here, so Anyways, it's week 2. Let's save it because I'll probably be wrong because there's just not a lot of information out there. So.
Not a lot of data out there yet. I know.
Almost.
I probably like the smart thing to do is not to bet on week 1, but
Yeah.
come on, man. You can't put all these.
You
all
can't
these
bet.
exactly. I can't
Yeah,
not
bet,
bet. What
bro.
am I gonna do? Not gamble?
Comes with a honey
Yeah,
sticker.
and just watch the games. That's boring now.
I
Gross.
know. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
You're not gonna
Anyway,
sweat your fantasy lines, bro.
bro, my fantasy team is so bad. We were winning the whole week because I had Saquon on whatever Friday, and then I was like second the entire time, and then none of my receivers scored more than I think like 5 points. So, or
Is this your best team? Or
my
your
best ball team. Yeah, my best ball team is atrocious. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe don't go with a ton of rookie receivers for all of you guys out there.
Rome is hurt now.
Rome is hurt. Marvin Harrison is struggling. Listen, your boy's not having a great time, but we'll figure it out. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. This has been another episode of Film Facts Stats. We are a notch above your group chat. You can follow us on all major social media platforms. We're on X, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, and that's Film Facts Stats. Again, watch us on YouTube. You can get us on all major podcasting platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. Thank you again for watching. We will see you next week.